We're at 5404 Sidney Road doing a sanitary lateral inspection for the purchase of a home. We're looking for any structural issues, root intrusion, anything that may be of concern to the buyer. We are going in through the cast iron stack in the center rear of the basement. It's right next to the dryer at this point. Going to be going out as far as we can. I believe the main is in the front, or in the street, in the front of the house. So I'm expecting roughly 75 to 100 feet to get to the main. I expect cast iron to be the pipe material under the floor, and then should switch to clay outside, based off of what I think the age of the house is so far. But there is the so down here in the restroom. There is the dryer. Here's the stack. To here. And it is okay. I'm gonna have to probably run some water here to get the goo off the front of the camera. I'm gonna run a little water back here in the rear. There's a stationary tub in the back. We're just going to let that run for a second and see if we can get it. Rinse the front of the camera off here. There we go. So, looks like it goes in and then makes a turn immediately, which is why I had a little bit of trouble getting it to go through. Try to leave the water running. The inside, this is all cast iron so far. I may have to turn the water off just so I can see better, because there will be, so the camera lens is only about a ½ inch off the bottom of the pipe. So I'm going to go ahead and turn the water off just so it doesn't block any of the view. Let that drain down a little bit, but the camera lens is only about a ½ inch off the bottom of the pipe, which, the smallest little bit of water sometimes can get on the lens. It doesn't mean there's a ton. So you can see all this buildup on the bottom of the pipe. That's normal for cast iron. Minerals and the rust and everything build up on the bottom of the pipe. You could have this cleaned, but it doesn't look like this is causing any issue. Like I said, this is normal for a pipe this age. I didn't see any buildup of any solids or anything, so it's a pretty good sign that this has been flowing well. It's just ugly. Cast iron is ugly because it rusts, and it's been around since this line's probably been, I think the house was probably built in the 50s. Possibly 60s. And so these old lines get all rusty and nasty looking. But once we get out to the clay, it should look a lot smoother. Expect us to hit that any moment here. And see, that's a little bit of water there, just a small belly, fairly normal. We should be able to see a little bit when we get back. It's a tiny belly. It's not anything I'd be real concerned with. One thing I do want to note though is with cast iron, you want to make sure you're not using any wet wipes. Toilet paper only, natural material, because it's, if you ever have any questions, you can just take a wet wipe and a piece of toilet paper, run them both underneath the kitchen, or underneath the water in the sink, and you'll see how one disintegrates and one does not. So those wet wipes can easily get caught on that on the rust on the cast iron and cause backups. And so even on new pipes we recommend you don't use those things because they say flushable, but they are not. They don't break down and they can catch in your line and cause major backups. So it looks like I expected to go into clay, but it looks like we are in concrete, which is just as good, if not better. A lot of times we have less problems out of concrete as far as root intrusion and stuff. So the thing is, I'm hoping that we can see a little better on the way back because there's a little, the line's flat and you can see the top edge of the water there, but you can't really see the pipe. So hoping that as I pour it out, since I ran that water, there's a little bit more water sitting in the line. So the other option is, if I don't see anything soon, I'm going to have to pull back and try to put a skid on the camera. I could just be pushing some stuff here. So there's a spot there. I'm about 60 feet out. It's hard for me to see what that is. I may end up having to put a skid on this and get a look at it. So I think as we have a flat spot or a belly, this all looks open. Then we're back into another belly. I think what I may end up having to do is make another pass, and I'll try to put something on the front of this camera because I can't see anything. So I think that we're going to be getting close to the main here. But as you can see, most of this line I can't see anything. So there's at least enough water that's covering the lens. But I'm going to try to find out how far I need to go first. This is not giving me warm, fuzzy stuff. Seems like I'm pushing a bunch of goo. Yeah, this is a buildup of a bunch of debris. Huh. Close to the main here. That's why it's dropping. So I think what I'm actually going to do, now we are down at the main, I'm actually going to run some water and see if the water is making it down to this point. So I'm going to pause the video for a second and run some water, because I think that there's a big buildup right around that what was that, about 100 to 110 foot mark. And this, if nothing else, needs to be flushed out and possibly re-scoped. But I said the first step is going to be I'm going to pause the video. I'm going to run some water because we have made it all the way to the main, but could be that buildup of debris down towards the bottom of the line is what's keeping all that water in, and that would need to be flushed out of the way so that the water could flow better. We've been running some water for a while and I'm not seeing it make it all the way out here. It's got me a little concerned. Maybe a little bit of water flowing, but not anywhere near what's moving. I'm going to pull this back a little bit, see if I can get a better picture of it. Here we go. Finally got some water flowing. So we're going to try to pull this back along here, and I may still try to put a standoff on this, but I think it may be a waste of time with all this debris right here. Looks like it's about 112 feet, and I'm going to start pulling underwater big time. I'm going to turn this water off now. The water is making it eventually. So the water is making it eventually, but I'm going to have to try to at least put a skid on the camera and see how far I can make it, but I may have trouble getting it through the base of this stack. I'm going to try to do it. But what that does is it lifts the camera up off the bottom of the pipe a little bit, so hopefully I can get above the water line and do a little bit better inspection. I think this definitely needs at least to be flushed out. Just because of the amount of debris that's down into the concrete. The concrete pipe there, about 100 feet in. There's a bunch of stuff before it actually gets to the main, and it looked really dry before I ran all that water and the toilets and everything. Because I mean, that's about 25 feet. There's a little bit of roots there. No, I take that back. Those are just spider webs. I was wrong. So it seems like I was able to see better on the way back. So it doesn't seem like there's a whole lot of water there as far as depth. It's a 6-inch pipe. It looked like it was on the way back. You could see most of the time as my camera made a wake through the water. And so what I'm hoping for is that I can get my camera back there with the standoff so we can see a little better, but I'm right here at the clean out again, so back in the drum. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to pause the video. I'm going to go out and try to get a standoff to try to put on the front of this camera and put something down so I can see if I can get through here with a little bit better vantage point. Okay, I'm actually going to stop this video and start another one. Oops. I'm going to stop this video and start a new one. That way it's split up into files so you don't have to watch, 15-20 minutes or something before we get to the second pass. So.